Hey all, thanks for joining me, Dorothea. Tonight's episode, I'm going to be giving you an update on the Iran, Cyprus, and Britain issue. Just a little bit of a story on that. And then I'm going to go into tonight's trigger, as I said, the blood moon, which is tonight, March 3rd and March 4th. And I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this video in regard to this blood moon prophecy. So let's go first to the update, the news, the newest story. My cat is rubbing the computer, sorry. Let's go to the updated story on this. I'm going to give you another clip from Patrick Henningsen. He has more to say on this issue that happened with Iran hitting Britain's base in Cyprus.
The thing people said is Iran would never strike Cyprus because that's a NATO country, and that would trigger Article 5. And that's the stupidest argument I've ever heard, because the United States is the leading NATO power, and they've already initiated an undeclared war. So forget Article 5 or any of this nonsense. And what did Iran do? They have attacked or hit RAF Akrotiri, the British base in Cyprus, which Israel uses as an escape hatch during missile attacks, and which they use to put temporarily stash F-35 fighters and other assets, including Benjamin Netanyahu himself, in the event of a siege on Tel Aviv and so forth. So they've shown that. What are the European countries going to do? They're going to do nothing. They're going to do nothing. Why? For the simple reason is that U.S. and Israel started this war. They drew the fire to Cyprus. Cyprus is so important for GCHQ, for the NSA, as a relay station. It is absolutely essential, the base in Cyprus. The fact that Iran had that on their target list, the bank of targets, shows you that the Iranian intelligence in the UAE, I can tell you, and I have this on extremely good authority, their intelligence is par excellence with regards to the Gulf states. They know where everything is. They know where every U.S. CIA base is. They know where every Israeli base is. They know in Erbil, in the Kurdish regional government in Iraq, they also have demonstrated that they will hit those Israeli bases as far back as January 2020, when they responded to the assassination of Qasem Soleimani.
The escape hatch for Izzy, right? The escape hatch for, as we heard, mostly the elite Israelis, such as Netanyahu, such as people who have money that live in Izzy. Okay. Now, he mentioned that Netanyahu goes to Cyprus to hide his escape hatch. And when I did my live stream the other day, one of my subscribers, Estoc, it's hard to say exactly, but I think it's ESTOC, he had said that it was rumored or been reported that Netanyahu had fled to Berlin, his home country, city. At last I heard it wasn't totally confirmed, but he had said that's what he had heard. So Netanyahu was either hiding in Berlin when they started attacking Iran, or he fled to Cyprus. I'm going to tell you what the Cyprus government thought of what happened with the Iranian hit on the Britain base there on their land. Cyprus condemns UK after RAF base that launched Gaza spy flights hit by drone. Yes, that's where the British were helping the Izzies to continue to murder civilians in Gaza. So basically the Cyprus government were upset over. I'll show you what they were upset over. Speaking after a meeting of the National Council on Monday, government spokesperson Konstantinos Litbiontis, I can't pronounce it, sorry, expressed dissatisfaction, quote-unquote, with Britain for failing to give, quote-unquote, clear and timely assurances that its bases on the island would only be used for, quote-unquote, humanitarian activity. They can't be this naive, can they? He says, despite the assurances given in yesterday's address by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, there was no clear clarification that the British bases in Cyprus would not, under any circumstances, be used for any reason other than humanitarian. The information we had through many communications and at various levels was clear that the British bases would have a strictly humanitarian role. Is that what the Brits told the Cyprus government? And the Cyprus government believed them. You know, the Britons are lying as much as the American officials. They didn't apparently know about the spy missions. Well, anyway, so that's what's going on there. That's what's going on there. The Cyprus government was not happy with the Brits, because why would Iran have struck the Britain base if it was just there for humanitarian reasons? So now I'm going to go into the whole lead up, and I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to give you the information on what has happened up to now. There's actually three prophecies that have been fulfilled. The latest one was the America and Izzy striking Iran, that Elder Joseph said. I had brought that up on my live stream on Saturday. So I'm just going to bring up the two more recent ones from last June, when Izzy struck Iran's, when Izzy struck Iran's nuclear facility. That was the first one that was fulfilled at this time. The other part was what St. Paisios said about the nautical miles. So I'm going to bring these things up to remind you of what he said. Okay. First, I'm going to bring up what he said in regard to the Thrace issue. Regarding the initial spark, you were told the problem will start from Thrace. It will be a diplomatic episode that cannot be resolved. The prophecy suggests a tension in Thrace, not just military, but deeply diplomatic, impossible to untangle through negotiations. So, remember, back in September 1st, Turkey condemned a vandalism incident at a Muslim minority school. I brought that up. There was that incident, and the Greek authorities were going to investigate on that, and there's been tension over there because it's the minority group of Muslims, and so and the Greeks have continued to try to say everything's they're doing what they can for them. For instance, this one came out February 14th. Dendius from Thrace, the largest settlement project in the history of the armed forces. We protect the Muslims of the region. That's what he's saying. Okay, so let me go to this particular part. Alongside this, another striking warning was given. He says, St. Paisios said, when you hear on television being referenced the issue of miles, of expanding the miles of the territorial sea from 6 to 12 miles, then war comes from behind, then it follows. So with that information, that has been fulfilled, because if you remember, January 17th, this was announced in the news. So it was on, I'm sure if it's in the newspapers, it was probably on television. Greece announces expansion to 12-mile territorial waters. Okay, remember, and I read this article at that time. So, this is another fulfilled prophecy of what he said about the 12 miles being announced. Didn't say it was implemented. It said when you hear it on TV. So when they announced it. Okay? When the news brings it up. So now that you're caught up with what's been happening the past few months regarding the prophecies and things being fulfilled, I also add in that blood moon in September. So I think it was September 8th or 9th when that last blood moon was. Now you could see the blood moon as kicking off things then, because it's 3 or 4 months later that the 12-mile nautical mile issue was announced. So think about that. I'm going to read exactly what Elder Vasilios said. Again, this is from the Holy Wisdom channel, all of these pieces of prophecy that I look at. Okay, so he said here, Elder Vasilios, who reposed in 2015, he said, after the red moon, it will all begin. Everyone will see it visible on the horizon. As the sun rules the day, the moon will burn crimson like flame. He warned, quote, then the decision makers must be prepared, for it is written that the godless will invade the island and innocent blood will be shed. So he's saying it will all begin. Now, my understanding is he's talking about the events between Turkey and Greece and somewhat Cyprus at this time, because he seems centered on that, and of course he's from Greece. So let's go to the second portion of this. So here he goes on about this issue. He says, the time draws near when the Turks will seize 3 islands, Lesbos, Chios, and Rhodes. They will use diversionary tactics, pretending to target smaller islets to confuse the Greek army while aiming for these 3. Yet their occupation will be brief, just 3 months. Blood will be shed on both sides, but Turkey itself will eventually disintegrate, which is later. So this is the important pieces here, is that he's saying all will begin then. He talks about everybody will see the moon on the horizon, red, right? And then all will begin. They'll see the moon on the horizon. The godless will attack the Greek islands. Okay, that's what he's saying happens after this blood moon. So you could say this blood moon that's happening tonight and tomorrow night could be kicking off that particular part of the prophecy where Turkey takes these islands for a few months, he said. And blood will be spilt on both sides. So there's going to be some bit of conflict between Greece and Turkey at that time. Now remember that Greece, Cyprus, and Izzy had made a pact, energy pact and all that, and a pact for defense. And remember the Izzy, I think he was the foreign minister, said something like, we're not going to allow, we won't tolerate any aggressions or anything from Turkey. And as I told you the other day, the former prime minister of Izzy had said that once Iran is out of the way, Turkey is next. I don't think Iran is going to be out of the way, though. This also means that Erdogan would be falling soon. So of course, I know a lot of people are keeping their eye out for that, but keep that in mind as well. And I think maybe perhaps the reason the Turks grab these islands and possess them for a while is for offensive and defensive reasons against Izzy and Greece. So, would make sense. They know that they are next, that Izzy is going to try to do this. Now, I'm not sure Izzy is going to exist after Iran is done pummeling it. So, just some thoughts. So my question to you is, do you think everything kicked off from the September blood moon? Or do you think it's going to kick off from this blood moon, which is the only one this year, as far as I know? And so, with that information, what do you think? Which one is it, the September or the March one, that is the kick-off, do you believe, this trigger? Things have already taken place with the 12 nautical miles, and all of this could be part of the September blood moon. Or do you think more particular that this blood moon is specifically regarding the Turkish aggression? Or am I splitting hairs? I like to analyze and look into things. Anyway, you all share your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this whole thing, on the Cyprus thing, the Cyprus, Iran, and British event and issue, the Turkish-Greek conflict, the blood moons. Share your thoughts. I'm very curious to see what you have to say. I always value your thoughts and opinions. And thanks so much for watching, for following my channel. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. If you think my content's is interesting to you. And there comes my cat again, sorry. If you'd like to support me, other than just subscribing, which is a big deal. Subscribing is a big deal. But if you wanted to support me further, you can hit the super thanks button anytime under my videos. It's on the panel underneath the video. If you don't see it right up front, it's going to be the 3 dots, and then you can press that and it should be in there. Or you can buy me a cup of coffee. And like my videos if you like them. Helps in the algorithms as well. Thanks so much for watching, for all your support. Without you, I wouldn't have my channel. So thanks so much.